Tonight at 11, snow has arrived in central Indiana. We've got a winter weather advisory in effect across portions of our state. Want to give you a live look at the roads here in Indianapolis as this winter weather roller coaster kicks off. Thanks for inviting us in. It's 11 o'clock. Rob's in for Angela tonight, tracking the snow and some sub-zero wind chills in our extended forecast. I looked out the window a couple of minutes ago, didn't see much snow. What's going on?
So there's a lot of dry air that's still in place.
Right.
We started to notice this earlier in the day, and you may be noticing it if you're using your app on your phone. You're seeing, what's this hole over Indy? Why is there a dome over Indy? Let me show you what's going on and why that's going to lead to some changes to our forecast. So when you see the bigger picture, the system is moving through. It looks like it's snowing for most of central Indiana, but the devil is in the details. When you zoom into the radar and you go, okay, what's going on? Why is there a dome over Indy? I've heard that a million times with people saying, why does it always go around Indy? Here's what's going on. There's drier air right at the surface, and when you go out from that radar beam, it sends that beam out to try to pick up where it's raining or snowing. But the further out from that beam you go, as you go out about 5 miles, it goes up in the atmosphere about 200 feet. The farther out you go, the higher and higher in the atmosphere it goes. So at some point, it finally is high enough that it's actually reaching the snow. The snow is falling, but it's encountering that dry air and it's essentially eating up the snow. At some point, you're going to see that hole fill in. However, and once that happens, it's eaten into a lot of the moisture, which means that it's going to lower all of our snowfall totals. It's also looked like the system has moved a little farther to the south, so I have updated this forecast. 1 to 2 is what we're expecting for Indy, and once you go north from there, the numbers are going to fall off pretty quickly. An inch or less maybe on the far north side, but once you get to, say, Kokomo, you may not see much from this, if anything at all. South from there, though, still expecting 2 to 4 with some isolated 5-inch plus amounts. We already have as much as 2 to maybe 2.5 inches of snow on the ground in some of these southwestern locations. That dry air, though, has significantly eaten into the forecast here. Doesn't change much when we talk about the long-range forecast. Another snowy system and some bitterly cold temperatures on the way. Lots to talk about in the 7-day forecast coming up.
All right, Rob, seeing a little bit. Indy DPW already locked in as we await this latest snowfall. The agency told us they've been out since Wednesday, pre-treating the roads, keeping ahead of what is the start of an icy weekend. We've got Alex Almanza joining us live tonight at 11. So, Alex, how are the conditions out there on the roads?
Yeah, our photographer Colden and I are here on I-70 westbound, just past the airport. And as you can see, snow has begun to kind of dust the ground a little bit. It hasn't really stuck to the pavement. We're going about 55, 60 miles an hour at this moment, and you can see not a lot of issues right now, but DPW says that they are keeping ahead of the snowfall over the weekend and some of that ice, as well as state plows. A third round of wintry weather, and DPW says they've already been at it for more than a day.
We've had all of our snow fight drivers working since 11 o'clock Wednesday morning. So they've been preparing now for more than 24 hours, almost 36 hours.
Crews started early, pre-treating bridges and overpasses first, the spots that freeze fastest. Now with temps on track to drop to record lows this weekend, crews are on rotating 12-hour shifts.
We were in full activation mode from November 28th until December 7th because of that last winter event. And now they had about 2-3 days off and they started back up again.
And it's not just DPW on the road. INDOT says they've issued a full call out across Indy and the surrounding interstates, meaning every available truck is already on the road, treating before the first flakes fall. INDOT says it brined roads across the East Central District Wednesday night and Thursday morning, laying down that saltwater mix to keep ice from forming. But come this weekend,
there is a certain point where it does not become effective when temperature drops below a certain point.
When that happens, crews switch to plowing only until conditions warm up for treatments to work again. DPW says they've already used more than 10,000 tons of salt since November 28th, and they're even working with a bigger winter budget. A $1.4 million increase for snow preparedness, plus 14 new 1-ton plows, and a $4 million bond for larger snow trucks.
We should be able to keep the roads as safe and clear as possible. And it doesn't happen without these guys and these women. Our drivers, our operators, supervisors, fleet services.
So again, we are just headed I-70 westbound past the airport, and the snow has just kind of started to begin falling onto the ground. Not really sticking to the pavement so far, but we're trying to keep it slow. Again, we're going 55, 60 miles an hour, and a lot of folks out here are also keeping their distance. But DPW reminds folks to make sure that you're putting in some of that time before you're traveling to take a little bit of that snow off your car and also build in that time. And you'll obviously, you'll make it to your destination safer that way. And they also suggest that you keep your distance between some of those snow plows.
All right, safe travels out there. Alex Almanza reporting live here in Indianapolis. Thanks so much. And make sure you've got our WTHR weather app on your phone. That way you can track the winter weather system as it moves through. Go get it before you fall asleep. It's a free download. You can get it in the App Store.
One day, I won Indiana all 3 times by a landslide, and I wasn't working on it very hard. Would have been nice. I think we would have picked up 2 seats if we did that.
That's President Trump tonight responding to that failed attempt to redraw our state's congressional map. This redistricting bill is officially dead tonight. There wasn't enough support among Republicans in the state Senate. Tonight, our Emily Longnecker breaks down how we reached this conclusion after months of tense debate.
Yeah, over 4 months of debate over the question about whether Indiana should redraw its congressional districts. Tonight, that question answered in the Senate when the redistricting bill was defeated by a vote of 31 to 19. It all came down to this.
19 ayes, 31 noes. This bill has been defeated.
The moment when Hoosiers have finally learned where every Indiana senator stood on redistricting. With a red for no, a green for yes next to their names. The vote total came late Thursday afternoon, after more than 3 hours of impassioned speeches on either side of the issue, much of it between Republicans on opposite sides of the debate.
I believe the bill on its face is unconstitutional.
The only way we can bolster Republican voices in Congress is to do this.
In the end, 21 Republicans sided with Democrats to end the talk of mid-decade redistricting, at least for this session. Since last month, Senate President Pro Tem Rod Bray had warned the votes in favor of redistricting weren't there among Republicans in the Senate. After Thursday's vote, Bray said it came down to different ideas among Republicans on the best way to keep control of the U.S. House in the 2026 midterm election. Bray has said before that should come through campaigning and trying to flip Indiana's first district.
It really comes down to an issue of having the same goal, but a different way to process that.
In recent weeks, Bray has faced online criticism from President Trump with threats to primary any Republicans who didn't support redistricting. He was also asked Thursday if he's concerned Indiana could lose federal funding.
We've had lots of conversations with folks in Washington, D.C. Indiana will continue to function and do well.
When asked how the redistricting vote would impact the Senate's working relationship moving forward with Governor Braun and the Indiana House who passed redistricting.
We're going to find a way to work together. This is what we do for Hoosiers.
Democrats pleased with the results.
Hoosiers repeatedly said, we do not want. And it's exciting to know that we listened to them.
But Senate Minority Leader Shelley Yoder said until the votes came down, she wasn't sure of the outcome.
There's a red button, there's a green button, and you're picking one or the other.
And on this issue, it was more Republicans picking the red button than the green one that brought an end to a long-fought debate. So where does the General Assembly head from here? Well, they are set to come back into this building on January 5th, and it looks like there could be some bipartisan agreement. Both sides say they want to tackle affordability issues for Hoosiers. At the Indiana State House, Emily Longnecker, 13 News.
And tonight, Governor Mike Braun is condemning the failed attempt, saying in part, ultimately, decisions like this carry political consequences. I will be working with the president to challenge these people who do not represent the best interests of Hoosiers. Tonight at 11, we're also getting reaction from Indiana Congressman Andre Carson, who's one of 2 Democratic lawmakers representing our state in Washington, D.C. He said tonight the decision at the State House reflects the views and priorities of Hoosiers here in the state.
And the majority of Hoosiers don't agree with this very unfair proposal. Hoosiers made sure that folks at the State House knew it and they listened. And, I've been saying all along, Hoosiers are different. We're different. We have a very independent streak that we're very proud of. Donald Trump thought he could bully his way into getting what he wants in Indiana, and it was a grave miscalculation.
Andre Carson represents District 7, which covers a majority of Marion County. Under this failed redistricting proposal, the county would have been broken up into 4 different districts. Right now, IMPD is investigating what left a man dead and a woman hospitalized after they were discovered inside of a home on the southeast side of Indy. Police tonight are telling us that a neighbor called them this afternoon saying the two were unresponsive at a home near Arlington and Raymond. Tonight, we've learned the two were found with traumatic injuries, but police have not yet said what those injuries were or what may have caused them. Also tonight, we're working to find out whether 2 men will face charges for a street race on the west side of Indianapolis that ended with a deadly crash. A neighbor's home near Vermont and Lyndhurst caught the moments right before impact on camera around 8 this morning. Police say 2 cars were racing when one crashed into an uninvolved truck near the intersection. The truck caught fire. The man inside died at the scene. The 2 cars involved in the race drove away.
The fact that they were speeding and caused such a serious accident, or to be able to just run off when you watched what just happened, it astounds me, the type of person that could be like that.
Police later arrested 2 men for their alleged involvement in the crash. They're asking anyone with additional information or video to contact them immediately. Rob?